Today, we're going to dig into a really radical idea, one that could totally change the way we make, well, everything. It's inspired by the book Cradle to Cradle, and it's all about a new kind of industrial revolution, one where waste equals food.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the big problem we have right now, this cradle-to-grave system. Then we'll see how nature has already solved it. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how we can apply this genius idea to our world, from designing products differently to totally rethinking what it means to own something.
All right, let's kick things off with a really simple question, something we all do pretty much every day without even thinking about it.
Seriously, think about it. We always say, just throw it away. But where is away? It's not some black hole that just swallows up our trash. Nope, away is a real place. It's a landfill, a giant pit in the ground, or it's an incinerator, puffing smoke into the air. The hard truth is, there is no away.
You see, our whole industrial world is built on this model, a one-way street to the dump. The authors of Cradle to Cradle call it a cradle-to-grave system. We take things from the earth, that's the cradle, and at the end of a product's life, we bury it in a landfill, the grave.
And man, what a grave it is. It's literally a tomb filled with billions of dollars worth of valuable stuff. I mean, we're talking high-grade plastics, copper, precious metals, all jumbled up with rotting food and old t-shirts. All that value, all that energy it took to make it, just lost, buried forever.
And I know what you're thinking. What about recycling? Well, here's the tough part. Most of what we call recycling is actually downcycling. That plastic bottle you recycle, it doesn't become another perfect plastic bottle. It gets melted down with a bunch of other plastics, losing quality, and becomes maybe a park bench or a speed bump. Its next and final stop is the landfill. It's just a slightly longer trip to the grave.
So this whole system seems kind of dumb, right? Incredibly inefficient. But what if the problem isn't just how we do things, but the whole idea of waste itself? To find a better way, we just have to look at a system that's been working perfectly for millions of years, nature.
The core idea here is so simple, but it flips everything on its head. This quote, "Residuals sow nutrients." It means waste is a nutrient. You see, in nature, there's no such thing as waste. It just doesn't exist. The output of one thing is just the input for something else. Waste equals food, period.
Just look at a cherry tree. It drops thousands and thousands of blossoms every year. You might look at that and think, what a waste. But it's not waste at all. It's a feast. Those blossoms break down and become food for microbes, for insects, for the soil itself. It's a beautiful, safe system of regenerative abundance.
Okay, so that's awesome for a cherry tree, but how in the world do we apply that to, our world of factories and plastics? The key is to start thinking of our world as having two totally separate circular systems, or as the authors call them, two metabolisms. And this breaks it down perfectly. On one hand, you have the biological metabolism. These are your biological nutrients, things that are designed to go back into the soil safely and become food for nature. Think of a shoe sole that just biodegrades. On the other side, you have the technical metabolism. These are your technical nutrients, things like metals, high-quality polymers, that are designed to stay in our industrial system forever, never even touching the natural world. They get endlessly upcycled, not downcycled.
Now here is the absolute most important rule. You have to keep these two cycles separate. You have to keep them pure. Because when you mix them, you don't get a cool hybrid. You get a monster.
The authors came up with a perfect name for these things: monstrous hybrids. A monstrous hybrid is a product where biological and technical materials are fused together so tightly they can never be separated. This makes them toxic to both systems. They're poisonous to the soil, and they contaminate the industrial recycling stream. They're useless.
A normal shoe is a perfect example. You start with leather, right? A biological material. But then it gets tanned with heavy metals like chromium, a technical material. Then that gets glued to a sole made of synthetic rubbers and plastics, more technical materials. The result? A product that can't be composted and can't be recycled. It's a true monster, a dead end.
So how do we stop making these monsters? How do we fix this? Well, the solution isn't just about redesigning the products. It's about completely changing our relationship with them.
And this leads to a really cool, mind-bending idea called product of service. Get this. Instead of buying a TV, what if you bought, say, 10,000 hours of television viewing? Instead of buying carpet, what if you just bought 10 years of comfortable flooring? You're not buying the stuff. You're just leasing the service it provides. This is the huge shift. In the old model, you buy the TV, you own the materials. And when it breaks, Throwing it out is your problem. But in this new model, the manufacturer keeps ownership of all those valuable technical nutrients. Suddenly, that old TV isn't your trash anymore. It's the manufacturer's valuable asset.
And this just flips the whole script. All of a sudden, the company is motivated to make that TV last as long as possible and be super easy to take apart. Why? Because they want it back. They want those valuable materials to make the next TV. It totally transforms a waste stream into a circular loop of assets.
You know, when you get down to it, this whole way of thinking isn't about feeling guilty or restricting ourselves. It's about changing our fundamental goal from trying to be less bad to figuring out how to be actively good. The book has this really blunt but powerful analogy. It basically says, hitting your child 3 times instead of 5 isn't protecting them. When you're doing something fundamentally wrong, don't try to improve it. Being less bad is not the same as being good. We shouldn't be trying to perfect a system that is, at its core, destructive. We need a new system.
So the vision here is one of real abundance at a positive human footprint. Imagine buildings that act like trees and actually produce more energy than they use. Imagine factories where the wastewater coming out is literally clean enough to drink. Products that, when you're done with them, become food, either for the earth or for another factory.
And that's the ultimate goal, right? It's a shift away from just being eco-efficient, which is about doing less harm, to being eco-effective, which is about creating a footprint that is beneficial, regenerative, and actively good for the planet.
It's a complete change in how we think about making things. By learning from nature's playbook and designing things intelligently from the very beginning, we can actually build a world where industry and nature don't just get along, they actively help each other thrive. So I guess the thought I want to leave you with is this. What if every single thing we made wasn't a burden on the planet, but was designed from the start to be a gift back to the world? What would that look like?